Hey, welcome back to the channel. Let's see how long this conversation, this topic lasts. Basically, this is a conversation about racism. I don't touch politics much. Not really into politics. I do have my points of view, but I wanted to just touch base on, touch on racism. Racism in the dogs. The thought of colors, sort of skin colors. What are my what are my points of view on this? I'm going to probably ruffle some feathers in my points of view. I do apologize. I do not mean to be mean to anyone's points of view, how they see things. I am just expressing my own. First, I'm going to say I'm of Hispanic Latino descent. I was born in a different country. Came here when I was very young. Mama, no, get out, down. Eh, So anyway, I came when I was young. Came to New York before I was a teen, um, and obviously I've been in an urban environment all my life. New York is a melting pot. There's all kinds of people here, but I will admit that my side of the where I grew up, it was basically 90% black and Hispanic. All right. And the other one was like 5% Chinese because they own the Chinese restaurants around here that we eat, you know, and some, white people that I don't know, that lived around here, that lived close enough to the building they own that we pay the rent on. Okay. Reality. That's how I grew up. But, doesn't mean that I stood just there. I guess, like I said, I went to school, graduated from school, high school, college, but this is my thing. But what about racism? What I want to touch about racism? I'm completely expressed this before, but I expressed this in this video. Like, I am completely against racism. But I think I think that the part that you don't understand is that for me, anything reference to skin color, black, white, Hispanic, is racism. Okay. Um, any thoughts of one is powerful and but the other one is not? It's all racism. You know, I know that there's like blacks and I'm including Hispanics. We have been oppressed, in different ways, or have been oppressed, or our ancestors were oppressed, and other people around you have been oppressed. I've lived discrimination as a Hispanic Latino person growing up here by men, by the law, by citizens, by school officials, all kinds of racism, all types of stereotypes that were put on me because of racism. So you can't say that I haven't lived it. I've and even within the own Hispanic community, there's been racism, and I grew up in again in New York in the I'm gonna I guess tell my age in the 80s and 90s in New York. You're gonna kind of know that Hispanics were not all alike. We didn't hold hands, and like the Caribbeans, the Puerto Ricans, the Dominicans, the Cubans, Mexicans, Colombians, you know, all these were deemed different, different groups. But if they're going to join, it was more like the Puerto Ricans and the Cubans. There might have been Caribbeans together, but you see you're Mexican. If you're not Puerto Rican looking, you're Mexican looking. You guys that grew up around that time, you know what I'm talking about. You know what I'm talking about. Or if you don't look Puerto Rican, then you're Mexican, or or Ecuadorian. That's like another one. Depending, it was like the three, and and there was feud between Hispanic. There were feud even. I would say even between the blacks there were feud. You know, the Jamaicans. You know, the Haitians. You know, the African Americans. You know, they have feuds, and all this. You know, it's all conducive to nothing. Conducive to just, you know, tricking our mind into saying we're fighting for something, you know, some justice. What I learned, and really is what I've just, you know, I've learned to be like that. Just basically break it down and say, you know, what's the crime? What's, you know, and stupidity is stupidity. You know, hate is hate. You know, if it wasn't hating for one thing, we would have hated for something else. So, you know, if there is a what's called a racist attack or color based attack, it could have been a female based attack, or could have been sexual orientation attack. You know, so I don't break it down as such and say, hey, they're oppressing this and that, because idiot people will. If it wasn't one thing, it would have been something else. And best way of combating this type of stupidity and this type of discrimination and racism is by, you know, not forgetting, but realizing there's more important things that you and I, if we grew up in around the same area, you know, if we grew up in a city, you know, we have more in common than, you know. For example, I'm going to put myself as an example. Okay, I already mentioned how I grew up here in the United States. I feel I have more in common with a black man that grew up in my, let's say, in my same building, dealing with going to school with me through high school, and, you know, with junior high school. I got more in common with that black man, with that Asian. It could be an Asian guy. It could have been a white guy. It could have been freaking guy from who knows. It doesn't matter. You put it in. I have more in common with that particular person, regardless of that race, than with a person from my country that grew up in my country and dealt with life over there. Okay? And I would think that if African American has more in common with a white guy that grew up same in the neighborhood, same neighborhood and everything, then he has that African American has with an African that grew up and still in Africa. Okay? It's a fact. You got, you know, there's more to it than just color. And I'm not saying not to be proud of who you are. Okay, that's a different thing. You know, be proud of being black. Like I'm proud of being Hispanic. Like, got a lot of cultural things that I love about being Hispanic, and there's a lot of cultural things that I love about, you know, African American culture, Jamaican culture, Haitian culture. This all, but, you know, break it down. Be proud, but don't make it a point of being like, oh, I'm always going to back a person with my skin color over another person, no matter what it is, and no matter if a person of my same color shade, skin color, is wrong. I'm still gonna back him because it's, you know, come on, you know. And if you know, if you meet those idiots, you know, I'm not saying you are an idiot, but I'm saying idiots of racist idiots, not the person that thinks that way. Because I can understand it, because you taught that, you know, you got to be proud. You got to stick with each other. But, you know, I understand helping each other in helping our, you know, businesses. But when you're going against your own morals just to back, you know, your skin color, there's something wrong with that. I think that, you know, same when you're in the dogs, you're gonna meet a lot of people that are racist. As a matter of fact, actually, this guy, what's his name? Master of Bulldogs. He made a comment it placed a comment, two comments on my on my channel on one of the videos. It was about an interview with Danny Burton, but I think that who was there? Mayfield. Mayfield was undercover, so he called him dog. Excuse me, master of master of Bulldogs called Mayfield a racist, a KKK member, blah blah blah. You know, uh, pre- personally, I don't know if he was racist. I read some things that he said, but about some things, comment about bad people in his area. I read that about, but I think that it's just you gotta remember where he was, how he grew up, what year he was, and how people talk, at that time, and his particular experience. Maybe he would have said that if they were white, or they would have said maybe, oh, they're Irish guys or whatever. Maybe, who knows? But I don't know much about Mayfield aside from him being a good dog person, a great conditioner. You know, and a lot of people are still trying to take his dogs to the next level. I personally don't, if Mayfield was a racist, that doesn't take anything away from the part about being, a dogman. No matter what, even if he was a terrorist, or even if he was, that would have been like a key word. Maybe they're gonna be detecting me for that one. Even if he was, bank robber and murderer, yes, he could be all that, but at the same time, he could have also been a great dog person. One thing doesn't take from the other. So, if I was dealing with a racist person, I'm in the middle of something with that racist person and our dogs, I'll deal with it as official as I can. If it's a must, then it must be done. But trying to keep it civil, trying to not get into any issues that are not about the dogs. If I'm there about the dogs, just do it, keep it working. Thank you very much. No need for anything else. Know the limits. Know how much you could deal with these individuals, and be the better person. That's the best tool. That's the best weapon. Being the better person. It's harder to be a better person. And like I said, if you got to talk about color and skin, perhaps that's part of being a racist. Because like I said, I already said it. I have more in common with a person that lives near me than my own cousins that live in my country. You know what I mean? That's how I'm saying. It's more to it, man. And just let's be together, bro. No matter what color it is, no matter how we talk, maybe you have different accent. Maybe I have an accent. You sound, that dude talk funny. Yeah, okay, I talk funny, man. It's okay. Maybe you talk funny to me, and I'm not saying anything. Maybe the slang you're talking, it's funny to me. But hey, I'm not mad. Keep talking how you feel, and my heart is clean. My heart is pure. See my heart. I'll see your heart, and let's keep it moving. Okay. You, because the real enemy is trying to make sure we continue to divide ourselves. Looking for I always mention this because this is an episode of Star Trek that I saw. I was young, very young, but I had just come to this country, and this country I actually was one where I saw black people for the first time, because in my country there's no black people. But the Star Trek episode was one where there was two tribesmen, two type of people attacking each other. The planet was about to get destroyed, and they didn't understand why they were attacking each other. And basically, the people were one side was black, the other side, literally the other side was white. And at the end, it's like, yo, don't you see how different these guys are? They got they were saying, these guys got the black side on the right side. We have that black side on the on the left side. And then I'm like, wow, how stupid are we as human beings? And this is why I love Star Trek, because there was a lot of message there that, like, wow, just because one part of the people in that world had the black side on one side, and the other side of the people had that same black side, or vice versa. I could say white side. On the opposite side, they saw each other as such different people. And I think that's what we're doing. We are all shades of one color. It's just one color. We are all the same color, just different shades. All right? Love you guys. I understand. Be the better person. Love your dogs. Treat them right. And stay safe.